United States says Hamas attack is part of a sabotage plot. This information coming in as the United States suspects that Hamas aims to sabotage Israel and Saudi talks. Antony Blinken says a report of the United States citizen's death in Israel has surfaced, and it appears that this could be a sabotage attempt to derail talks between Israel and Saudi. This is the latest that we get as U.S. has reacted in a latest. Antony Blinken has said Hamas attacks part of a sabotage plot. Hamas aims to sabotage Israel-Saudi talks. And this comes right at a time when reports of a U.S. citizen's death has been reported from Israel. Geeta Mohan, our foreign affairs editor, reporting for us, tracking these developments closely. Geeta, Antony Blinken says that this is a deliberate attempt by Hamas terrorists to sabotage talks between Israel and Saudi. Do give us the reference of and the context of his statement.
Well, two very important aspects. One is the United States of America extending support to Israel and saying that they're going to stand by Israel, but also the fact that this is a very serious situation where it's not just about a state-to-state war, but a terror attack wherein Israelis have been pulled out of their territories and have been taken into Gaza. So there are two aspects to this. One is the conflict situation itself. The other is the hostage crisis. We do know that the Israeli administration is looking at how to resolve the hostage crisis and get their citizens out of Gaza safely. The other aspect that he's talking about is the peace deal or the normalization, and the fact that there are elements or nations for that matter, because it's specifically naming Iran, who do not want normalization of ties between Israel and the other West Asian or the Arab nations. In this case, he specifically referred to Saudi Arabia and the peace deal or the normalization of ties between Saudi Arabia and Israel. We do know that that no matter which country says what, the policy of most of the nations, including the United States of America, Nabila, is the two-state solution of Israel and Palestine. With this attack, we'll have to see whether if that policy gets diluted. Now, that will be of serious concern to Palestine and to the people of Palestine who've been living in this conflict situation for decades.
You know, but speaking of the two-state policy, Palestine has not been willing for a two-state policy. Is that right, Geeta? The resistance has been coming in from Palestine on this front.
Well, the resistance has been coming from Israel on this part, Nabila, because a two-state solution for Israel and Palestine is something where both the states, the state of Palestine and the nation, that's Israel, have been looking at what that division is really going to be on land. We have seen a lot of changes in the occupation in territories that were erstwhile Palestine and no longer are under Palestinian control. So that's where the real problem is going to come in from. But the fact is that right now the situation is quite tense, and the tense situation on the ground with regards to the war or the conflict that's underway is going to become larger. It's going to it's going to be long drawn. Given that the extremist elements, and it's not just us, we're looking at Hezbollah, the Lebanon front has opened up. So all these extremist organizations and fronts that might extend support to Hamas, that certainly is going to be a grave concern for Israel. Israel for now has said that it can handle its own defenses and will be taking on these elements, not just Hamas, but other elements from the region.
All right. Of course, Israel putting up a really brave front at this point. But stay with us, Geeta. I'm going to cut across to Antony Blinken of the United States, who's spoken with this regard.
First, to put this in perspective, and as some of your correspondents just said, this is the worst attack on Israel since 1973, the Yom Kippur War, almost exactly 50 years ago. But there's a fundamental difference. That was a war that was state to state, country to country, army to army. This is a massive terrorist attack that is gunning down Israeli civilians in their towns, in their homes, and as we've seen so graphically, literally dragging people across the border with Gaza, including a Holocaust survivor in a wheelchair, women and children. So you can imagine the impact this is having throughout Israel, and the world should be revolted at what it's seen. We have immediately engaged our Israeli partners and allies. President Biden was on the phone with Prime Minister Netanyahu early yesterday to assure him of our full support.